let me jump right into the legislation that I've offered here, which is called the Prime Act. And by the way, this bill was conceived on Joel Salatin's farm. I was visiting there, and there was a legislator from Tennessee. His name is Frank Nicely. He's a state senator who's accomplished a lot in Tennessee for farmers. And we decided that we needed to have some scale appropriate regulations for the little guys. And so what my bill says is that if the farmer and the processor and the consumer are all in the same state and the product doesn't cross state lines and everybody is complying with state and county and city laws, then the USDA doesn't need to be involved in that transaction. The regulations that are placed on these Chinese and Brazilian companies that slaughter thousands of animals and ship them all over the world don't need to be the same regulations that are placed on the small local guys. And by the way, the local guys are inspected as well. The one that I use just 3 miles here from my farm, he's inspected by the health department, just like a restaurant would be, right? We don't have USDA inspectors in restaurants. We don't have them, full-time, and we don't have them full-time in your grocery store. Yet a restaurant or a grocery store might process more food than the local processor does here. So my local processor, he's inspected by the local health department. And if there were state laws, state inspection, he'd be inspected by those. There aren't state inspections. But he's also subject to surprise inspections by the USDA. And he tells me he's been through one of those. They just show up unannounced and say, we want to look around. He says, okay, I got nothing to hide. And so when we talk about uninspected non-USDA facilities, these are actually inspected facilities. They just don't have a full-time employee there, and maybe they don't check everything off on the big list that the USDA has.
Yeah, there's actually a lot of that checking off. We actually own about a 42% interest in a small federal inspected slaughterhouse that we use here in Harrisonburg, Virginia, and have about 20 employees. It's a small community abattoir. And the difference in cost between having all that federal inspection paperwork versus a custom processing, which is where we're actually doing it for an animal that's already got a name on it before it was killed, is about 30%. It's a huge difference in cost, because the paperwork and liability overheads of meeting the inspector requirements for temperature tracking, control, infrastructure is way higher than the gentler custom situation. So we do both at our plant, and we charge about a substantial difference, 30% difference. You start doing that on a carcass weight, you translate that to actually by the pound, it becomes 50% difference. I mean, it can easily be as much as 50 to 70 cents a pound worth of retail difference with these two things. So now not only is this size prejudicial, it's poverty prejudicial. So a person who can't afford our federal inspected ground beef could get, if we went through the custom the custom designation, they could get that for 50 to 70 cents a pound less. That's substantial for an economically disadvantaged person.